can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Danny. We are in final prediction mode for Adam Azim's fight on the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Benn undercard at Spurs on November 15th. Late replacement, Kurt Scoby in the fate Adam Azim. As far as, I suppose, late replacements go on paper, Scoby looks a decent fighter. He's 18-1, 16 stoppages himself. That one defeat, he was stopped by a fighter who had a 13-6-3 record. So make of that what you will. Obviously no experts on Scoby here, but it's always exciting when we're seeing Adam Azim in the ring. So yeah, looking forward to this one. Looking forward to hearing what your prediction is, Danny, for this one. So yeah, please take it away and let me know your final prediction for Adam Azim and Kurt Scoby.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I'm going to go with Adam Azim to win the fight. A lot is stacked in his favour. He's had a lot more notice for this date than Kurt Scoby. Saying that, I've watched a bit of Kurt Scoby since the fight was announced. I'd never seen any of him before, and he actually looks like a decent fighter. He's very physically strong, quite muscle bound, decent speed, good power, as his record would suggest. But he's a bit flat footed, and he's never been more than 8 rounds. And I think that could probably prove to be a pivotal factor, especially given the relatively short notice he's taken the fight on. I think he'll be dangerous early, he'll be live early, and we've never seen Azim in with a puncher, really. You take away O'Hara Davis, who was at the very end, really. We've never seen Azim in with a young, fresh, hungry puncher. So that'll be something that will give Scoby confidence that he can be the first person to test Azim's chin properly, although I think Azim's edge and speed and boxing ability will prove to be the difference. And I expect him to really take over in the later stages of the fight and actually probably get a stoppage. I think Scoby, with I say, is that muscle-bound frame, having the short notice, not having been late in the fight himself. I think it'll maybe just get a bit too much for him, and I can Azim forcing a stoppage somewhere around 8-9 rounds.
Yeah, interesting, mate. I did something similar to you once this fight was announced. I had a brief look at some of Kurt Scoby, and yeah, he's not the worst. I do think he's levels below Adam Azim. I think Adam Azim will win the fight. I completely agree with you. I also think he'll get the stoppage. I reckon it'll maybe come a little earlier than you've suggested. I'll probably go somewhere around the 6-7 mark. So I think Adam Azim is levels above here. I think, as you said, it'll be interesting to see how he navigates the first few rounds, because you'd imagine that Scoby will be dangerous early on, particularly in those first 3-4 rounds. As you said, a big puncher. But I think that don't know exactly much about the guy that beat him, but like someone who's had 6 defeats at the time and was 13-6-3, kind of alarm bells for me. I mean, he could have got caught cold. I suppose it can happen to anybody. But I don't, I think Adam Azim kind of, I don't want to say Azim wins this whenever he wants, but part of me does kind of think that if he can navigate those early rounds. So I'm going with the Adam Azim stoppage as well. Little earlier than you, but yeah, both maybe just into the second half of the fight. Before we round off, Danny, I do have to ask you what you want to see Adam Azim do in 2026. On paper, there are a lot of good fights out there for him. He's still very young. Do you want to see him really go for it, get up to that world level, challenge for world honours? Or do you think you want to see him in more acid tests on that fringe European world level before he really does catapult himself into those massive fights at 140?
Yeah, I think he does need a couple more before he goes in with any of the big boy world title shot at 140. A fight I like for him, made with the politics of boxing, would be Oscar Duarte, coming off a good win over Kenneth Sims Jr. Strong, rugged, can punch a bit, would really, ask questions of his aim that we haven't necessarily seen him ask before in terms of the physicality. Duarte's a bit crude and he will sort of eat the way in, but he'll make sure he gets on the way in, and that'll, yeah, give Azim wrinkles that he's not seen. But I think it's one that I would favour Azim to problem through. Aside from that, we all want to see the Dalton Smith fight. A lot of that will depend on how Smith gets on against Subriel Matias. I think if Smith loses, it's unlikely we'd see that fight. soon. I think that'll probably push that down. If he wins the world title, then I think it maybe becomes a bit more likely. Loads of good fights at 140. Even Regis Prograis, not got a lot left, but it's a good name for Azim to get on the record. Still not been value there and becoming the first man to stop Regis Prograis. I'm not necessarily think that'll be happen, but loads of fights at 140 for Azim. Yeah, should he come through Scoby?
Yeah, we all want to see Dalton Smith win it for sure. I mean, that, as you said, it does depend on how he does against Subriel Mateus. But yeah, like you, I don't know whether I see that fight happening, particularly not in the early stages of 2026. I think, given that, we've heard the noise that Matchroom and Eddie Hearn and stuff have made in the past about, when there was that whole purse bids fiasco and when Smith and Azim were going to fight for the British, and then, if Smith was to win the world title, I'd feel like they wouldn't want to grant them uh, Azim the opportunity, kind of thing. Some of those other names you mentioned, though, I really like. I really like the Regis Prograis fight. I think that's a great name at this stage. As you said, the artist formerly known as Regis Prograis is not the same fighter as he was when he was world champion and so on. But as you said, if he's never been stopped, so if Adam Azim could go in there and become the first man to stop him, that is a real statement, even at this stage of Regis Prograis' career. Completely agree with you there, mate. So that's one that I would like to see. I think we've seen we've seen we've seen Regis Prograis come to the UK a few times before as well. So I don't think it would be difficult to make that fight. So I would like to see that. So Regis Prograis next for me. I'll go with that. I think you really you put that fight in my mind now, and I do want to see Adam Azim tested. So yeah, that's what I want to see next. But first, he obviously has to get through Kurt Scoby on November 15th at Spurs on the Chris Eubank Jr. Conor Ben 2 undercard. Late replacement, but both Danny and I expecting Azim to win and to win via stoppage. Guys, let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on this one. Whether Azim wins the fight, if you think he does win the fight, does he win it via stoppage? And as always, please subscribe and like to the YouTube channel. All of your boxing needs up under one roof. Content coming on basically a daily basis. Danny, pleasure as always, mate. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks, mate.